Curse of Strahd, session 17. They are in Castle Ravenloft. Ho ho ho. We had a fight. We had a wolf fight at the beginning where they get ambushed by wolves with some curveballs there. They meet a little the butler to the mansion, and they go into the mansion and they go down, down, down in a curveball of a speed run, if I've ever seen a speed run before. So here's what I do in these. I give the breakdown of what I thought was going to happen, what I prepared, and then what actually happened in the behind the scenes of this Curse of Strahd campaign. If you want to see the full Curse of Strahd campaign, you want to see the gameplay footage of this, you can check it out on Patreon now for free. There's this free trial thing that just became available, and I'm using it now for this reason. You can join for free at the entry-level patron tier. Get to check out these videos. See these videos, see them posted, all that kind of stuff. Get your, oh yeah. Is this something you want to check out or not? So I think it's a really cool thing thrown out there for that. So, because that is the gameplay, full 100% unedited footage for what is these breakdowns are on. So let's get right into the breakdown. This is the session prep. There was a wolf ambush. We ended the last session where a bunch of wolves jumped out to attack Louisa. Louisa is the target of Strahd. Also, from a meta standpoint, Louisa's character is leaving the game. She's moving to Michigan. I live in Texas. So her character needs to leave the campaign, and whether that be by death or by running or by whatever, we shall see. But Strahd has chosen the 5 of them, and of the 5 players, he's chosen the weak link, and he has chosen Louisa, right? Now, that is not a meta. I did not meta that to be Louisa because it's I did not do that. There's just a very convenient thing that I'm going to go down the rabbit hole of. Felix and Pug, Felix the Rogue, Pug the Paladin, have massively impressed him. Finian is just bold and brash, the cleric, and just, you know, a light in this darkness, and has been very, very bold in this way, has interacted with him, has stood her ground. Those 3 are a notch up for Strahd, and he respects them, right? Then there's Lars, who he is currently has a pact with. He has a warlock pact with Lars, and there's a whole thing with that. And he has control over Lars. So he would kill Lars. Lars would be his target to kill. He thinks Lars is the weak link, but he has absolute control over Lars. So why would he kill Lars? So the only person left then is Louisa. Louisa has had literally no interactions with Strahd, hasn't had any sort of dialogue or talking with him. She hasn't engaged with Strahd, and all Louisa does is smash, 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 barbarian style, and it doesn't speak to Strahd's tactical mind and like subtleties and like using manipulational tactics instead of just brute force only, right? So Louisa's the one to go. So he's targeting Louisa to kill Louisa. Now, what this means for the group is he's put a hit out on Louisa, and these werewolves are attacking them, right? So the whole thing goes off. There's a werewolf ambush. There was a surprise round that the wolves got on the group, but Pug was the only one that rolled high enough on this perception check before this happened to join that surprise round. So they had the wolves and Pug tried to do their thing. And then Jarnathan, the bird, Jarnathan is a were-raven who has kind of fallen for Louisa and is kind of like, you know, wants to protect her and wants to keep her safe and stuff. She doesn't really like him. It's a whole thing. So he swoops in to try and help and save her too, and that's how the fight starts off, right? How I've ran this is the pack leader, right? The pack leader is this large gray wolf, very, very large. And I also describe this large gray wolf as like a dire wolf, and the other wolves are smaller. Spoiler alert, the other smaller wolves are kids who have been transformed into wolves. They are like teenage werewolves, barely, that are trials, and if they live, then they can join the pack. If they don't, if they die, then they die. And this is a very twisted, corrupted thing that this pack leader, Kirill, the evil leader of the werewolves, there's also a good leader of the werewolves named Emil, which we'll talk about him in a second. This pack leader's at the top looking over everybody and doing nothing. So there's 4 wolves that are attacking the group. It's a party of 5. 4 wolves attacking the group. They're going, attacking and biting. First round's a little bit crazy all over the place. Some of them are trying to pin down the others. Some of them are attacking Louisa. And this big, large wolf just sits there and watches, right? In an interesting first move, Louisa uses her wild shape from this little druid situation she's got going on. She is a barbarian with a little dip into druid. Shifts into a wolf, jumps up to attack him. And I was like, oh wow, I did not. Okay, interesting. And she like talks to him on her first round. I was like, oh, I love this. Where this is going. And she got a little bit of talking communication with him, kind of set the tone. And he was basically saying that like this is a trial, and he said this is a trial, and they took it as like, for them like the players, right? Not these wolves. I had no idea. So then. The fight's going on, and not to give a full play-by-play of everything, but basically the wolves had these things they could do. They could attack, leap, bite, claw, all that kind of stuff. If a wolf died, they have a chance to shift back into a teenager, and then they'd realize, oh my god, we're killing kid werewolves, like this, what? And then the lair action, the pack leader was literally acting as just the lair action. My dungeon master prep for him, he was going to act as the lair action, and how granting a fear condition to the group, how granting like bardic inspiration boosts to the werewolves. He was just a lair action, right? I had no plans to have him attack. But then something very interesting happened. This wolf, this leader, evil leader wolf, is watching these initiates as, like a hawk, and watching what they do. And I roleplay this, I describe this, all this stuff. The bard casts dissonant whispers on one of the wolves, and they fail. And one of the effects of dissonant whispers is to turn and run. I don't know if your head's going where my head went. I came up with this on the fly, but I was like, this pack leader is watching these wolves and forcing them to fight. If one of them turns to run, what would he do? So as at the top of the next round, he leaps off of the rock that he's perched on, makes one huge bound, tackles the wolf that was leading, bites into the top of him, paws him, or slaps him across the thing, and hits the ground, going instantly to bloodied, like huge amount of damage dealt. I didn't say the amount of damage dealt, but huge amount of damage dealt to this thing, as they're like, what? Wait, what? And then the wolf just snarls at the smaller wolf, the initiate kid wolf. They don't know it's a kid yet though. And they're like, and so the wolf runs back in to go fight, and then the paladin gets an opportunity to attack, slashes it, kills one wolf, right? I don't describe yet the transformation later. I don't want to reveal that yet, right? So the fight continues, and then the bard, at the top of the lineup, I had the clouds part and the full moon was visible to everybody, right? So then all the werewolves, one of the players at the table just recently contracted were-raven lycanthropy, right? Or therianthropy. One of the players of the group, the rogue, Felix the rogue, is now a were-raven. He has not had to shapeshift. He's not uncontrollably shapeshifted yet with the moon, but he saw the moon and he had to make a constitution save at disadvantage, and he got a 15 at disadvantage and succeeded. I was like, dang, okay, wow. So I thought he was going to fully turn into a bird and be a useless little raven that, flying around in this bad situation. But he saved, which is interesting. But then as the full moon comes, all the wolves look up and they all shift into their hybrid forms as this scary looking werewolves. But I do also describe that they are shorter. I describe that they're only like 5 or 6 feet tall, still scary. But the players realized later that all those little clues were me. They're small. They are smaller than you. They're small. These are kid werewolves. Then the bard has another round where they're all fighting and doing really this epic stuff, trying to kill all the rest of the wolves. But another weird moment happened when the bard cast the spell, laugh, Tasha's hideous laughter or whatever, and the wolf falls to the ground laughing. What do you think happens? Pack leader, woof, bang, kills, like straight up kills the wolf. And they're like, what is happening? So then they finish up the rest of it, and one of the players attacks the wolf, like the main leader wolf. And then he says this, but he's in werewolf form, so only the barbarian who's in the wolf druid form only is the one that hears him. It's like, your fight's not with me. And he's all just like, still not fighting them, but just like snarling at them. And they kill the last wolf apart from the leader wolf. And then he shifts into he quickly shifts into his hybrid form, and like is like this intimidating thing as he looks around. He's much than that. He's like 7 feet plus, a huge freaking werewolf. And they're like sitting there. And I said, does everyone want to keep going? We're going to go around to the initiative order, and if you can say hold, or you can say whatever else, I want to know what y'all do. And they all said hold, like some were ready any actions and whatever, and we got all the way around, nobody did anything. So he shifts back into his human form and starts talking to them. As this happened, I rolled death saves for each of the 4 wolves around. Only one of them succeeded. And that doesn't mean they're back to consciousness, but that shows that one of the wolves shifted back into their human form, which showed that they are a kid. And that everyone else was like, oh, wait. And then everything started to click and make sense. And then he's like, yeah, this was initiation. And that's also what he said before. So it was a really interesting and cool reveal for them to realize that, okay, wow, we just okay. And then he made some barters and deals with them. So it really went off exactly how I wanted it to go. And then now there's this leader of the werewolves, evil villain character, but he doesn't like Strahd either. So he was able to give them a lot of insights. And back to the sheet here, I was able to go into, after the combat talking points, I was able to go into a bunch of different things, why that Strahd chose them, and to start to reveal some of the puzzle piece that is Strahd, of why he wants them, showing some intention, showing some motivation, showing some interesting right? From the perspective of a villain, and be able to truly like try and like give them some information that they would not have known otherwise, because they've been speculating for I think long enough now, and I wanted them to know some things. And then this evil werewolf leader gave them a quest to kill Immel. Immel is the good guy werewolf. The pack, not to get into the whole lore of it, but there was a werewolf pack, evil leader. Immel rose up to try and like overtake him, and the pack split. From that, though, Immel got trapped by Strahd, and he is in the Castle Ravenloft, in the prison of Castle Ravenloft. So Kirill says, kill Immel, and I'll be able to get the pack back together, right? And if I have the pack back together, I could use the pack to possibly help you again with Strahd. Huge boon and benefit. Oh my gosh, a pack of werewolves on our side? Ooh, yeah. Now, is that really truly the case? No, the werewolves would turn against the players for sure. They don't know that, but they might be cautious of that. So now they have a quest to go kill Immel. So they go into the castle, and they head off, and they get into the thing. They meet Cyrus Bellevue, which I guess now at this point we're off the grid. So I can show you guys a little bit here as well. This full Dungeon Master Binder is available on Patreon as well. This is huge. This thing's probably one of the most massive things I've done, especially Castle Ravenloft, because dear God, is there a lot of stuff in here. So Cyrus Bellevue, the first meeting with him, all the different talking points he has, the goals of Cyrus Bellevue, of what he's trying to want to do with them, items in the image of Cyrus Bellevue so we can all see it and stuff, if it ever loads. There he is, this little mongrel folk guy. So I had them meet him, and then we start going into Castle Ravenloft. And I go in the castle, and there's all the different parts of Castle Ravenloft, and then we go to the main floor, and then there's the map I have for it, and each of the different spots of where they go. The dining hall opera event, I have all these different things of the description of the music playing, and then it's an illusion of Strahd. So before I get too carried away with all this, they arrive, they talk to Cyrus Bellevue, they gives them like, oh, you just the dining room's to the right, and take another right, it's right there. And so they kind of walk in, they meet another NPC, and I'm trying to get introduced just in this pocket here after a combat and before the dungeon exploration, introduce some little social moments here. Okay, cool. They get to the dining room area. They see Strahd. Now, spoiler timeout. This is not Strahd. This is an illusion of Strahd. So I wanted to make sure to play that up in a very careful way. And I think, based on the feedback I got from players afterwards, based on their reaction, I think I did exactly what I wanted to do. Is I wanted to be Strahd, be there and be talking, and blah, 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 right? But be very robotic, but subtly, right? So he says the general welcome. He says, come, sit. They don't sit. He sits and sits there and says, any questions? And so it's almost like a guided tour illusion robot type situation, right? So he sits there, and then the barbarian's like, why are you trying to kill me and target me and stuff like that? And he ignored her completely. And then everybody sat down, and then he says, still any questions? And again, kind of almost like a cycle. And so they were kind of having some little bit of like this awkward tension moments, and there was some funny awkward tension moments of like chairs and who's sitting where and all that stuff. And he didn't react to any of it, right? So I'm purposely being very careful when I'm playing this, because I don't want it to be Strahd, because then he would act much differently than this illusion of Strahd, right? But the players have that same tension that Strahd's there because they don't know yet. I also did not ask for an intelligence saving throw yet. Right? I know this is an illusion, and make it intelligence saving throw. I don't want to suspect. No. I don't want to ask for an intelligence saving throw at the beginning. No, I'm sorry. I'm gonna let them sit in this moment for a little bit. Then I'll ask it. Then there'll be the reveal. Okay, so anyway, sue me, people. Now, if somebody had asked, is there something I could say, make a roll and all that kind of stuff? But passively, I don't think they passively would be like, wait a second, they see Strahd. Oh, I don't think they'd be, because they don't know of this yet. Now, future times where he uses illusions, maybe so. But anyway, so they all start talking. I go through the whole thing. They all start asking him questions. And then a really cool moment happened that I did not see coming. The Paladin, Pug, who right now is Strahd's number one most respected player, is Pug, the Paladin. Pug asked him, tell me about your childhood. And I was like, whoa. First of all, Dungeon Master, great lore moment here. Great lore bomb I can drop on him. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, make a persuasion check. See how much you're going to get out of him. Natural 20. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I got to tell them a little bit of the story of Strahd. His father dying in the battle, him taking back over, him inviting his mother over, and this plants the seed. I'm going to say this now. This is a big spoiler towards my iteration of Strahd, but a really cool thing, I think. He has this kingdom and he's building this castle. He invites his mother and brother from the neighboring lands over. In the carriage ride over, they get ambushed by the previous nation that he overtook, kind of like a karma situation. He overtook this nation of people, and the survivors that had, like the bandit survivors that left, ambushed his mother and brother, killing his mother. His brother is barely escaping, and there's that, right? So he kind of revealed a little bit, because that was one of the things that turned him down to the dark side of this vampirism stuff. And another player asked him, how long you've been a vampire? Were you a vampire before? He's like, no, I haven't always been one. Except, so like, it was very interesting. They got some interesting lore stuff, and I was really glad to see them ask so many questions about this, Strahd, right? So then I got to the point where there was not a steady flow of questions, and we stopped. And I said, everybody roll a d20. And they rolled a d20, and I looked at their intelligence saving throw column on my sheet. 2 of them rolled higher than an 18. 18 in general is the DC for Strahd. I don't know if they figured that out yet. They rolled a 19 and over a 20. So I described both of them. You look at this and you see a flicker, you see a shimmer, and you can now see through. And you start to piece together. He's acting very robotic. He's starting to quit. And as soon as you have this doubt and question of how he's acting, the image in front of you becomes translucent, and you know it's an illusion. All the rest of you still see normal Strahd, but the 2 of y'all that had started to have doubts and questions, you can now see through this illusion of Strahd. So the cleric grabs an apple, throws it straight through him. Strahd doesn't react, passes through him, puffs into a puff of black smoke, and then everything, all the candles go out, the doors start slamming, and they're now in Castle Ravenloft. So it was a super cool moment there. One of my favorite moments, honestly, for myself of the campaign, of them just sitting down and eating with Strahd. Super cool. So then they get to explore the castle, and they get to talk about, do we explore the castle? Do we leave? What's going on? So now, as a dungeon master, and if you're invested at all from the previous episode, I have 2 sessions left, this being one of them, before the barbarian has to leave the group. So what I've done here, and the stage that has been set, is at the halfway through next session. So we're currently in session 17, and they are exploring the castle of Strahd. At some point during session 18, next session, Strahd is going to appear and fight them and try and kill Lou, right? Not all out try and kill Lou. He's trying to toy with them, play with his toys before, so he's going to test them. And I have a whole thing set up. It's going to be 5 rounds. Can Louisa survive 5 rounds? If she survives 5 rounds of combat, she lives. If she doesn't, she's dead, right? Simple as that. So I don't know if they're going to be able to do it, but that's going to be where the throwdown happens. So now they're exploring the dungeon. They're deciding if they leave or if they stay. If they leave, Strahd was going to confront them at the gates, fight them there. That would have been a whole thing. But they choose to explore the dungeon, and they're going to go find Emil, the warlock, the good guy warlock that they don't know is a good guy, but anyway. So they start exploring the dungeon. It's super cool to see them. And they go places like, we need to go downstairs. Like the werewolf guy said that Emil was in the cellar, in the basement type stuff. So they go down the first staircase that goes down, which actually, I did not know this. Castle Ravenloft, the map, is so insane, and there's so many rooms. It's so overwhelming. I did not know where Emil was. Now, I knew that Emil was in the basement, but I didn't know the most direct path that they could get there. But apparently, when you walk in the castle, take a right, there's a spiral staircase going all the way down to the prison. Kind of crazy. Maybe I might not put the entrance to the prison so close to the front door if I were to, architect the castle here. But apparently they walked straight to that one. Now they went into some little spots and came right back. But they spiraled straight down to the bottom. And then, oh my God, they're in the prisons. So they're in the prisons. They have some traps that go off, and there's some interesting things there in the bottom. But then they find the prison complex with Emil. They talk with Emil, and then that's kind of where the session left off. Well, the session left off, there's a gray ooze in one of the cells, and one of the players came to see a glowing sword in one cell, and the ooze came through the bars and attacked them, and that's where we ended the session, right? But now, Strahd is next. So now, next session, my preparation for this, Strahd is going to fight them. I have a fully prepared Strahd stat block. I'm going to make sure it's 100% prepared, even more so for the next session. But what's going to happen next session is they're in the literal prison, and I think the best way to go, because I thought about, maybe Strahd will fight them. If they fight them in the stairs, it'd be a really weird spot. He's going to fight them in the prison. So they're in this prison right now, in this like 3 foot, 4 feet high water. That's gonna be very difficult for everybody to move around. There's traps that trigger people to teleport them into other parts of the prison. In the main hallway, there's traps on the floor where if you trigger the trap, it's a weight plate thing. If you trigger the trap, you get teleported to one of the prison cells, and Strahd is going to be activating that. Strahd's going to purposefully activate and teleport. He's going to smash them into the trap triggers, and then teleport them into other rooms. So it's going to be a crazy fight in this little small prison situation. And they're fighting a gray ooze right now. They're going to fight the gray ooze, loot the prison, and then once I see a moment where Strahd's going to appear, and he's going to talk to them, and then he's going to fight them, and we'll see if Louisa can survive. And that's going to be a crazy, crazy moment there. But that'll be for next time. So stay tuned for next time, the final session for Louisa, to see if she can survive. And then she's gone. Now either the player's gone, she's leaving. But the character will either be killed by Strahd or be able to escape and go off into the forest and hide and try and stay away from Strahd. And we'll see how that whole thing goes. So, it's going to be crazy. Till next time, stay creative. Think outside the box. Peace.